Cloudcast Media.
Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media, and it's a good day when we have the iconic San Diego food bank, Jacob's Cushman, the San Diego Food Bank, in the house. Joining us is the CEO, Casey Castillo. How you doing, Casey?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much. Drew, last time I was here, you weren't here, so thanks so much for the invitation to come back.
Yeah, absolutely. Unfortunately, it won't be as good an interview with me here. No, I heard it was terrific. And joined by my longtime friend, my colleague, what can I say about this gentleman, Neville Billimoria, Senior VP at Mission Fed Credit Union. And Neville, whenever I see your name, that's going to be joining the interview. It is a good day.
Thank you, my brother. I'm glad to be here again on a really important cause.
That's a huge cause, without question. And I'm joined by my co-host, and that's Kristen Fogel. She is the executive director of San Diego Writers, Inc. Are you enjoying this co-hosting gig?
I am. You know, I told you I was a little under the weather, but I'm honestly energized by some of the people that come in here.
We just were interviewing 91-year young Gene McAllister. Gene's been sober for 67 years and is just unbelievable. 400 employees.
Yeah.
And she's have you ever met Gene at all?
Just 91.
91 years young.
Wow.
67 years sober. She's got her McAllister Institute, serves 20,000 people, I think she was saying.
A month or something. Yeah,
it's unbelievable. So, and she was hurting a little bit. She had just broken a hip last year, and now she had a couple cracked ribs, and has a big event that she's putting on. So, we should all be as resilient as her.
Great for her.
Yeah. Without question. So, Kristen, let's get us started.
Let's do it. Let's get started. So, I'm just wondering about. Let's start with the food bank. What your mission is. Tell us a bit about that.
So our mission is to provide nutritious food to people in need, to advocate for the hungry and educate the public about hunger-related issues. High level, we are the largest hunger relief organization in San Diego County, one of the largest food banks across the state of California, and actually the fourth largest independent food bank across the country.
Wow, that's incredible. And then, Neville, just wanted to turn it to you. Can you tell us about your mission over there at Mission Fed?
Mission Fed is about serving our local community with all their financial needs. So we've been doing this for over 61 years. We were born on a bar desk in the County Office of Ed building. Our first field of membership was all educators. Today it's coming up on 300,000 members probably in the next month.
Wow.
34 branches, $6 billion in assets, and proud to serve every single San Diegan that needs some support.
That's excellent. I said over there, but we're at Mission Fed. We're in this beautiful studio. So here is what I should say.
Yeah, without question. And, Mission Fed, you pick a topic, whether it's food insecurity or whether it's literacy or it's art or everything in between. Mission Fed is in there. And I was sharing, Neville, with your colleague, Courtney Pendleton, who's sitting right next to us over here. Earlier, we had Doug Wright on, your CFO. And the beauty of this, and in case you know this, and it's so important for organizations like the Food Bank, Mission Fed does not believe in checkbook philanthropy. What they believe in, if they're involved in something, you're going to have a full force of their employees out there. How important is that?
That's absolutely right. And they've been a partner for years. We are feeding over 400,000 people per month. We would not be able to do that without amazing partners like Mission Fed. Over those years, they've given over hundreds of thousands of dollars worth in donations to the food bank, and that's accounted for millions and millions of meals throughout San Diego County.
Yeah, and maybe before Kristen asks the next question on this, people are always surprised. You're not, of course, and nor is Neville, when they hear the numbers of people that are food insecure in San Diego County. That's a big number, is it not?
Yeah, the latest number through the San Diego Hunger Coalition was about 750,000 people throughout San Diego County are facing food insecurity or nutrition insecurity. I mentioned we're serving over 400,000. So we there's still more need out there that we're trying to get to.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just, so you're both here because you're partnering together during the San Diego Hunger Awareness Month. Can you just stop there and tell me what that's about, when that is? Talk to me about that.
So Hunger Awareness Month runs all the way through September.
Okay.
It's a campaign really about awareness. We want people to understand food insecurity throughout San Diego County, what it means, the characteristics of our recipients, and we also want them to know there are ways to help.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. And then can you speak a little bit about your partnerships?
So connecting the dots here, during COVID, we really pivoted to the unsheltered and food insufficient and raised something like $680,000 with the help of our employees, members, and community. This Food for Kids backpack program is recognition of how many kids in our schools today would not have a meal over the weekend without programs like this. So they get the benefit of food at school, but then the weekend comes along and it's a different ballgame.
Okay.
Yes, through that study I referenced, they determined there are about 250,000 children, youth throughout the county that are facing food insecurity every day. So the food bank saw this as a serious issue back in 2006, which is why we created the Food for Kids backpack program. We started with 25 students and have grown that. Last year we served 3,000 every Friday, feeding them. These are elementary age children that a teacher or maybe a school administrator, school nurse has determined that they're not eating over the weekend. So the food bank is providing, with help from our partners like Mission Fed, a bag of food every Friday. And then we do a family pack one Friday out of every month, which is several bags of food. So we're able to provide that food. Those children can eat over the weekend. They come back Monday fed, ready to learn, and have the ability to thrive.
That's amazing.
Well, when you think about it, you bring up some good point. Whether it's dealing with the kids or adults, whatever the case may be, and especially kids, you can't learn. You can't focus if your stomach is grumbling and everything else about that. And there's so many little tentacles, to that area as well. Just talk about how important that is to make sure these kids, are having that right meal, especially on the weekends, as Neville was saying, and even during the summer when there is no school.
One of the favorite things that I get to do is read the feedback we get from teachers and from school nurses about those children and the improvement they see. They see improvement in behavior, in test scores, the ability to pay attention, self-esteem and confidence. All of that grows. And when that's happening, those children are, again, ready to learn, to overcome any challenges that they're facing. And obviously, that'll help break that cycle of poverty that a lot of these families find themselves in. Mm-hmm.
Right. What I always found interesting, and I was fortunate enough for a billion years, when I was with the Union Tribune to work with the food bank through Scotty days and all that. But I'm dating myself now, for God's sake. Even when Jim Green was on the board, because Jim did some work with us on the San Diego Council on Literacy. And you guys have always been at the top of your game, really, in providing this very, very much needed deal. During the pandemic, though, that was tough slaying, was it not?
It was tough, and we're still dealing with some of the repercussions. But yeah, before the pandemic, we were serving 300,000 people per month. That skyrocketed to 600,000 just within weeks of the lockdown.
Exactly.
And the numbers have gone down. We're again serving a little bit more than 4,000 or 400,000 each month, but it's not back down to pre-COVID figures, nor do we think it will ever get back there.
I think one of the things that has made the organization, maybe Neville, you can address this as well, because I know it's important. Metrics is always important to Neville. Not that it's not important to you, Casey, on it, but I always appreciate that. Is that you guys can really break it down by your dollar does this. Your dollar provides X amount, like 5 meals, whatever the number is these days, right?
Yeah.
And talk about how important that is to have those metrics, and then I'll pivot over to Neville.
Well, unfortunately, due to inflation, that's 2 meals now.
Okay, right.
It does, and you've seen this at the grocery store.
Yes.
We're impacted, food banks are impacted, everybody's impacted by inflation. So,
right.
But we still are able to leverage that $1 into 2 meals. That's a big deal. We're able to do that because we use wholesalers, and we have just a huge network. In fact, I was sharing with Courtney a few minutes ago. We received a donation last week for $1, a check written for $1. Amazing, because that dollar matters. Again, that's 2 meals. That is that's a big deal to a family struggling to put food on the table. I was able to turn around and call that donor, and those are inspirational, really moments, and really help us keep driving that work forward.
Well, you hit the nail on the head on that, Neville, and I know because you've been on my show almost as long as I've been doing this for 17 years, and we talk about these things. There's no such thing as a too small of a donation, as Casey has just said.
100%. And in this case, our suggested donation is $8, but people can give whatever they feel comfortable with. No amount is too small, and it's the aggregate. If all you could afford is $1, that means a lot compared to somebody who could afford $10,000 but chose to give bagel.
Yeah.
That's 100%. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Well, we're a very lean organization. For every dollar received, and then for us spent, 95 cents of that goes to program-related efforts, and only 5% for overhead, fundraising, administration. Very few organizations find themselves with that expense ratio, which is why we're able to conduct programs like the backpack program, where, as Neville mentioned, $8 will supply food for a child every week, and $300 will support them throughout the whole school year. Again, very small number for the ability to change someone's life.
I'm glad you brought back the backpack program. I was curious about where in San Diego you are school-wise and where you're kind of hoping to reach next.
So last year I mentioned we were feeding 3,000 elementary age students every Friday. Mm-hmm. That was in 60 schools and 15 school districts throughout San Diego County.
Beautiful.
Our goal this year is to reach 3,500 students. So we have 4 schools right now that we're processing, a 5th that we'll add a little bit after that, and that'll help us get to 3,500 students. Typically in a year, we'll increase that by about 100 students. This year, we had a much larger goal to increase it by 500. And we're only able to do that because of Mission Fed and other amazing partners that understand what that need is and are so willing to help us get there.
We come back from break, Casey and Neville want to chat a little about that. Is that for those who are listening, what you can do to help support, whether you own a 3-person mom and pop shop or you are the head of Qualcomm or whatever the case may be, and everything in between on that. And Neville would be a good one to address this along with Casey. I'm Drew Schlosberg. You've been listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, the nation's longest running community podcast. We're now in our 17th year broadcasting this beautiful Mission Fed studio here in Scripps Ranch, and Mission Fed 61 plus years of doing great things in the community. We're going to be right back with Casey Castillo, CEO, San Diego Food Bank, Cushman San Diego Food Bank, Neville Billimoria, Senior VP of Mission Fed Credit Union, and my terrific and very competent and inimitable co-host. I'm not talking about you.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah, I'm talking about you. Kristen Fogel, she is the Executive Director of San Diego Writers Inc. We'll be right back.
When you do your banking with Mission Fed, you get great rates on auto and home loans. That's good for you, but something good also happens for a lot of other people. We're not for profit, so we put money back into the community to help lots of great nonprofits to keep San Diego strong. So you're not just getting something good, you're doing something good. Come to Mission Fed. It's banking that's good for all.
Brand amplification is the DNA of Cloudcast Media, and our code is the powerful blending of sound, voice, and storytelling to lift local brands and their communities. Whether it is our Brandcast, Schoolcast, or Causecast platforms, the unifying ethos is all about this community, the one you call home. If you dare to dream and want to explore the brand amplification of Cloudcast, a national leader in local podcasting and other Winfluence strategies, please visit us at cloudcast.us.
I'm Drew Schlosberg, and you're listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show. Now the nation's longest running community podcast. We've been doing it for 17 years in the beautiful mission-fed studio here in Scripps Ranch, joined by Casey Castillo, CEO of San Diego Food Bank, Jacobs Cushman San Diego Food Bank, also Neville Billimoria, Senior VP of Mission Fed Credit Union, joined by my co-host Kristen Fogel, Executive Director of San Diego Writers, Inc. Neville, we were just chatting about this as well, and we'll have Casey add into it. What types of things does Mission Fed do as a company to support the food bank? Are there food drives? Are there volunteer at a food bank events? Are you making food? I'm probably not making food. So talk about that, Neville.
Both of the former. So I don't think we're making food and delivering it over there. We've all at some point volunteered. I can't say all. Many of us have volunteered at the food bank. And again, to your comment before the break about what people can do, if they can't afford to make a contribution, come and volunteer. Have an experience of what it's like and see these. Just experience this firsthand. So volunteering is one option. What we do is we, as you know, try to engage our staff, our teammates in volunteer engagement. And so the ability to volunteer, as we do here, every quarter we have some kind of a drive with our branches and our organization. When we launched this one, which we've been doing for several years and reinstituted again with COVID, in the first week we raised $5,000 just through our contact center alone. So our members are very generous, and they're looking for ways to make an impact. And we just needed to invite them to connect the dots. We're already at 30,000 raised, and we're September 8th or something.
Congratulations!
So again, this is a joint effort, and I don't want to make this all about Mission Fed. It's about Mission Fed's stakeholders, which include our employees, our community partners. The list goes on, right? So,
well, and you said something, and I want Casey to jump in on this too, that it's something that's near and dear in my world and Kristen's too, because we're in communication. You've got to let people know what's going on. You got to get the word out. So here you are talking to your, several 100,000, members about what's going on this. And Casey, you cannot talk about food insecurity enough, correct?
Yeah, and we want to use every channel, every avenue we have. So thank you.
Yeah.
These are opportunities for us to raise awareness and talk about the food bank, what we do, how we do it, and the people that we serve.
Right.
And I'm so glad you asked the question earlier to Neville. Mission Fed does everything. In fact, they're going to be in our warehouse in Vista next week, packing backpacks. Last year, volunteers packed over 102,000 bags for a backpack program.
Wow.
And that's done in our Vista warehouse, but goes out throughout the county. So Mission Fed is there. They packed many of those, thousands of those. And like Neville mentioned, they're involved in all ways to support our mission. So big thank you to Mission Fed.
Yeah, let me ask you this. And Kristen, you can jump in on this as well. I'm sure you guys even talk about this in some of your writers' workshops on this. But Casey, obviously San Diego is not the most inexpensive place to live, right? And so is that exasperate a lot of the food insecurity because of where we live?
Absolutely. So we just released a study a few months ago that we conducted with San Diego State University.
Yes.
It was really, it was twofold. One, it was an economic impacts study.
Yeah.
But the most important part of the study was we wanted to understand all the characteristics of our recipients. We want to know why they're utilizing our services, how long, how far are they traveling to a distribution site, household income, household size. We were interested in all those things because we think the better we understand that, the better we can serve them. What we found was that 76% of respondents said that they are coming to us because of rising costs, because of inflation.
Okay.
45% are utilizing our service because they're not making enough. Their salaries, their rate of pay is not keeping up with inflation. And of course, that is all exacerbated because of the high cost of living in San Diego, where we are. I think we won the award recently for one of the most expensive cities in the country. So all of those together, really bad combination for those that are struggling.
Yeah, and I think, Kristen, with this, we had heard from Doug Wright earlier, talking about AB 46, the bill, talking about military retirement. Doug is CFO of Mission Fed. Doug, frequent guest on our Spotlight show, and he always does some great things on, we know it's tough, it's hard to do, but saving is as much as you could save $5 a month or whatever the case may be. Kristen, I know you got to agree to something like that. just the savings is so critical.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
How old is your child?
He'll be 5 next month.
Now, do you work, and we talked about this too, does your child volunteer for anything? Do you guys volunteer? Does he see you volunteering?
He sees us donating to causes and doing some volunteer work. But yeah, he's got a little bank now where it's the save, spend, donate. So he's starting to get a sense of that for sure.
So if he did what Neville suggested, here I'm having your kid rob, you're going to rob $8 out of his account. Exactly. And send it to the food bank. Would that be a good thing?
Absolutely. I mean, he's very generous. I think we need to start with our kids too, and just stress the importance of that. That's something that I stress with my kid too. Is you are in a very good circumstance. There are other children that are not, and exposing them to things like packing the backpacks or hosting a food drive. And actually, that's something that I wanted to ask about as well. Is as a small business executive director, could we host a food drive? Do businesses come to you? How do we get involved in doing that?
Absolutely, and that's a great point. This generation, the younger generation, they get it. That's important to them. They're doing a lot more in terms of volunteering, and that's where we can help corporations with that new population of workers, and it helps set them up. Yes, anybody can host a food drive, any size organization, civic group. And then we offer several opportunities. It could be a physical food drive. It could be a virtual food drive. Virtual food drive is pretty neat. Go online. You can actually shop. You can drag and drop.
Oh, perfect.
Grab those tomatoes and drop them, run them through the cash register, drop them in your bag. See what that tally is and make a donation. You can make a competition between departments, between companies. And we have many companies that do both. They do a physical food drive and they host a virtual food drive as well. We try to make it as easy as possible to support the food bank. Come volunteer, host a food drive. If you can, make a monetary donation. Again, there are lots of ways to support the cause.
Beautiful.
Do you find that when you get a volunteer, and this is a good question for Neville as well, that this person's been volunteering for 20 years or 30 years or whatever the case may be? Because once you get the bug of wanting to donate, especially for the food bank, you want to continue doing that, correct?
We do see that. We actually just hosted a volunteer recognition ceremony last week. We had 200 of our volunteers in our warehouse, and we gave out awards. One volunteer has donated or spent over 5,000 hours in our warehouse or warehouses. Our volunteers are amazing. We have some volunteers, individuals or families that come once. We have other individuals that come 3 or 4 times a week. And we have corporations like Mission Fed that will also come in and bring their team in to support us. So we see it all, and just about anybody can volunteer. Again, we see individuals, we see families, we see corporations, school groups, church groups, other civic groups. I promise you, if you do it, you will not be sorry at the end of your session. We work you. You're going to hustle. You're going to probably break a sweat, but I think you're going to feel pretty good about your experience.
Yeah, what do you think about that, Neville?
Well, volunteer is back to metrics and data and impact, right?
Right.
Volunteering has proved to be good for you too. Actually, it's good for your heart, your cardiovascular health. It's good for your psychosocial dimension. The best way to rise up is to help others rise up. And I think a societally conscious generation intuitively know that if we foster and give them that scaffolding when they're young, they can practice those habits of mindset and heart set as they grow older. And for those of us that haven't done it yet, it'll be a damn good experience. Go check it out.
It's pretty impactful when you're building a senior box. And maybe your group will build 800 during your 3-hour session. And that senior box is going to a facility tomorrow to feed a senior living on a fixed income that may be living off a couple $100 a month.
Right.
Life-changing. And I think it's compelling for those that come in to volunteer.
Now, do you have events that you put on that people can participate in that raises money for the food bank?
2 major events. We host a gala in April.
Right.
We just broke a record this past April with how much we raised. And we actually focused in on the backpack program, which we're talking about today.
Right.
It was part of our effort to increase by 500 this year. And so this is really the focus throughout the year. And then we also host a golf tournament, which was just held in July. And we also broke a record for that golf tournament. So two really fun events and opportunities for people that are interested to be engaged.
Yeah.
And if people are hearing that they broke records, that means they don't need help, you're hearing the wrong thing. The records are an indication of the severity of the challenge and the need. And so I don't want some folks listening today to infer, oh, wow, they're breaking all these records. I guess everything's cool. I don't need to worry about it. Au contraire, mon frère.
Well, that's a great point. I mean, we're setting those lofty goals because we want to get to more people, because there are more people out there that are hungry and struggling. So thank you, Neville, for that.
Yeah, just like what Gene McAllister had said, the CEO of the McAllister Institute, 91-year young Gene McAllister, that she is hopeful, without being, a Pollyanna, that she'll be out of business. I'm assuming maybe it would be wonderful if the food bank was, listen, we don't need to do this anymore. Phenomenally unrealistic, of course, but a goal to look at, correct?
That is good to hear. There's another person or company out there saying that, because we often say that at the food bank.
Right.
That we thought we were the only one that is out there trying to put themselves out of business. It's nice to know there's others out there. But yeah, we say that all the time. Our goal is to provide access, but and to solve food insecurity. So that would be a better world if we were able to do that.
100%.
On that access too, Gene had brought up the power of 211, how people find their good work and get sober through 211. People can do that also, but I also wanted you to speak to this GPS food locator map as well.
Yeah, thank you for that. And 211 is another great partner. So the way we're able to get so much food out is we partner with over 500 other nonprofits with feeding programs. They get food from us. Last year was nearly 50 million pounds that we distributed throughout the community. Wow. A large part of that was with our nonprofit partners. 211 is one of those partners. If you call 211, they will have all of our information, our over 200 direct distributions that are located throughout the county, and they'll help you get there. One of those ways is they not only have a list, but they use our GPS food locator that we created during COVID on our website. So if you are struggling with putting food on the table, go to SanDiegoFoodBank.org, click on our GPS food locator, and type in your zip code, and it'll bring up a host of food distributions near your home. Our goal is for you to be able to walk down the street or walk very closely to another food organization that can help provide food right there in your neighborhood.
Wonderful.
Well, the question, so how can our listeners support your efforts?
Again, I think I mentioned it earlier. There's lots of ways you can come volunteer at either location. We have a Miramar location, a Vista location. You can also help us out at distribution sites. You can host food drives, virtual or physical food drives. And you can, if you can, give monetarily through our website or give us a call, or you can participate in amazing campaigns like Mission Fed's campaign and donate inside one of their stores. One of the things I want to do is to say a big thank you to Mission Fed's employees. We hear this every year, and we have some food bankers that are members of Mission Fed, and they're blown away every time they go inside a branch, because that Mission Fed team member knows everything about the San Diego Food Bank and our Food for Kids backpack program. They can engage with their members, and it's amazing to see. And it's one of the reasons it's so successful, this campaign, every year. And a big thank you to Mission Fed's members, because they participate, they get it, they care, and they help us do what we do.
Well, I mean, that's why Mission Fed's a poster child for doing these things, because it's more than, again, just handing out the money. And listen, we know money is important. It turns on lights and buys things. We get it. But, here's an understanding of this. And I think something, Neville knows I'm going to say this over here, and I think Courtney's heard me say it before. The reason why there's a lot of hip to the hop of folks that work for Mission Fed and their members too, much research has been done on this. When employees know that the company they work for is out there incessantly giving back to the community, and not just here's your check and don't bug me again, but it'll be in the different branches, we'll be in the distribution centers and do all this, makes them proud. And that sounds like an obvious statement, but it isn't an obvious statement. Neville, talk about that.
You're right. Spot on. It's part of our culture. It's part of our ethos. Its margin is about the financial side, but mission is beyond that. It's about giving back. People ultimately do this for either doing good, feeling good, or looking good. And the looking good part is not just anti-hip, anti-great. It's hopefully so other organizations that are listening today can try to model and mentor off of what we're doing. Not because we're that great at it. We're just inviting others to raise the game, reimagine what success looks like, use that as a tool to uplift your culture in your organization, and at the end of the day, make a difference for San Diego.
Yeah, without question. Casey, any final comments?
Well, I'll go back to, I look back over the years, we're probably approaching $1 million, close to $1 million in contributions from Mission Fed over the years. And then you convert that to meals, millions and millions of meals, and that doesn't count the volunteering efforts. It's a tremendous impact to San Diego County and the people that need our help.
Right. So the gauntlet is thrown, every other company out there. Get to your $1 million, okay? Get to your involvement on this. Everyone rowing in the same direction. We'll do some great things. Kristen, any final comments?
No, I'm just thankful I met you both, and thanks for all the good work that you've been doing in the community.
Good. Shout out that website, Casey, if you can.
SanDiegoFoodBank.org. And if you want to participate in the campaign, SanDiegoFoodBank.org/Mission Fed. And Kristen, thanks for playing hurt today.
Yeah, she's a real trooper. And then next time you're on, which I hope is sooner than later, Casey, let's bring on people that have benefited from you. If there's some families that have really said, man, because of the food bank, okay, this is what we've been able to do. We don't want to break any privacy laws. And don't make people feel bad. But we love to have people come on that have benefited from this organization.
That'd be wonderful. And one of the things that we've found that works, we have people that have benefited, but now we're on the other side.
That's right.
They're our nonprofit partners. They're now giving back and doing that great work, and they can talk about both sides and both perspectives,
right.
and I think it's very inspirational to hear.
Good. So we're going to put that on Courtney. I'm going to add to her 55-hour-a-day job, and if she can tee that up, we'd love to have a follow-up doing that with you and then some of the folks that have benefited from it.
We'd love that. Thank you.
Very good. I'm Drew Schlosberg, and you've been listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, the nation's longest-running community podcast, now in our 17th year in the beautiful Mission Fed studio here in Scripps Ranch, and Mission Fed for 60-plus years, still raising the bar for everybody in San Diego County. We hope you enjoyed the show.
You've been listening to an episode of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego community. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
Cloudcast Media.